like it did earlier.
Bad Mojo.
Fucking down. Yeah.
Baby, no.
I'm leaving that in. I'm not even putting in the soundbite that's supposed to be there. I'm just putting the random crazy nonsense that just took place. Welcome to Super Garbage Day, a podcast where Senior Miller and I randomly choose a game 20 years or older that we have never played with hopes to find treasures in the trash. My name is B. Ross, and to my cross from me is...
Gracias, mi amigo. Es Senior Miller.
I knew you were going to lean into the Senior Miller. I love it. Can you just be Senior Miller from now
Senior
on?
Miller.
Senior Miller. It is. It's a rolling L. It's two L's. Spanish class has served us. So, as you know, we start every episode. So in episode number 3?
Yeah, I believe so.
We've done 3 episodes, man. That's great. Episode 3. So the last 2, I always start with asking you a question, retro inspired. So I have one for you, and I never tell you what they're going to be. So I was wondering, what retro game do you not want to play because it's intimidating?
Ooh.
That you haven't played?
Oh, that I haven't played, and that is intimidating to me.
Yes, of course. I'm just catching you off guard because you didn't know I was going to ask this. So
yeah, I would say probably like Ghosts and Ghouls because I played Ghosts and Goblins.
Okay, so wait, Ghouls and Ghosts
or Ghouls and Ghosts,
Ghouls and Ghosts. Okay, so the NES one or the Master System one?
See, and I will just say the Master System because I've never even played that.
So you have played the Super Nintendo version, like Super Ghouls and Ghosts?
I've played Ghosts and Goblins.
Ghosts and Goblins, the NES one?
Yes.
Oh, that one's rough, dude. Rough.
But yeah, I mean, well, and that kind of turns me off of trying to play any of the later ones.
Oh, so you're talking about specifically the one on the Super Nintendo that came out after?
Yeah. I mean,
dude, it's so good.
Yeah,
it's so good. Funny story. It was one of the first Super Nintendo games that was ever purchased for me.
Huh.
I have this memory like really locked in of my birthday, and then I got a Super Nintendo for my birthday, and it was the kind of the thing with my past was that I didn't get systems in my younger age at the time they were released, but my parents were hard workers and they kind of waited to like buy one used or however they got a hold of it. I eventually did get a Super Nintendo, and the first 2 games they had me reach into a bag and pull out the games, like a birthday bag.
Oh yeah.
And the first game I ever was given was ActRaiser, and the second game was Super Ghouls and Ghosts. So It was the second. Actually, I played that first. So I can honestly say that was the first Super Nintendo game I ever played in my life.
Okay.
What a game. You haven't played that yet?
No, I don't think I have.
I'll remember this in case we have a showdown.
Yeah.
I was thinking today when I was out working. By the way, people don't know I'm a garbage man. It's kind of I'm a garbage collector. I'm a recycling garbage man. So it kind of is in theme on brand with the show, at least the title. But I spend a lot of time listening to podcasts and thinking. And I thought today, I was like, we need to have an episode where you and I come up with a game that we challenge each other to. And instead of picking a random game one week, we tell each other, all right, here's the game you're going to play this week. And then you give me one.
Oh, okay.
And it can be anything. It can be good. It can be bad.
See, that's a fun concept.
That would be fun, right?
Check us out on Patreon if you want to.
That's right. Super Garbage Day
recommendation. I was also thinking something on like a tier type thing. If you want us to like maybe do a one-on-one, we might be able to set up a streaming thing.
Yeah, I'd love
like
that.
A fighting game or something, because if that comes up,
yeah,
that might have to be a thing.
I would love that. I really want to get a community involved or just build a community. I know this is the 3rd episode, technically the 4th because there's like a bonus one, but that wasn't
yeah, whatever that was.
I guess we're supposed to be announcing the game.
Keep it in.
That sound bit was not supposed to be there. That's the sound effect when I announce the game of the week that we're discussing.
Welcome to a budding podcast.
it kind of scared me for a second. I was like,
I was like, was that your phone?
No, it's coming out of the headphones because
so
I have the
funny.
headphones hooked in, but also it's lower. So it was like a very like uncanny valley version of audio. I'm like, where is this strange noise coming from in this silent room? I'm leaving this in. I don't care.
Yeah.
That was funny. Plus, we have to do it again when I announce the game of the week. But yeah, I'm down with that. I really want to build a pool of games. I said this on the last episode that like we have a Patreon. Also, I'm just okay with you guys emailing us, you guys and gals, or anybody who listens,
podcast
people, ear viewers. If you want to just send us a game suggestion, we want to build a separate list that is separate from the Wheel of Retro that we can do maybe once a month that we pull from. That is just people who submit things, and it doesn't matter if we played it or not.
Could it be modern too? Like,
I don't know. I mean, we really could just.
I mean, is that something you're into?
It depends on the budget. Yeah,
that's,
they're like, yes, I want you to play.
Can we get our hands on it?
Can you? Yeah, both of you should play Ragnarok, God of War Ragnarok this week. I'll be like, oh my god, I don't even have a PS5. Like,
I know. I'm so close to finishing the first,
the God of War before it.
Yeah, the one before it, because it's on the PC.
Too.
So, but it's hard.
You know what? I recently on Reddit. This is actually a good topic. Or I'm happy you brought that up because I saw a Reddit post recently that said, which studio would you rather have recreate a new Castlevania? Or actually, I think specifically they said Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Like, which studio would you want them to do this? One. They said the studio that built God of War or the studio that built Elden Ring. And it was an interesting topic. What do you think about that?
I have both would be a good choice because I think.
Well, let's say how about this? Let's say it's not a recreation, but let's say it's a sequel.
Okay.
So it's going to be in the vein of how Symphony of the Night was created, or its style and its presentation.
I would say I would probably prefer.
You still don't know. I can just. I'm looking at you right now. You're like, oh man,
no, but I think
it's hard. It's a hard decision.
I think Santa Monica.
Yeah, Santa Monica.
I lean that direction because I would want it to be more cinematic.
Yeah,
and less like just throw you in there. While the Elden Ring side,
the Dark Souls team, taking on Castlevania. They kind of made that already.
You can get all those weird monsters and stuff, and that would be cool. But I want the voice acting. I would like a more developed story.
You want the presentation and the budget.
And I feel like I would enjoy a button mashy Castlevania. Like I think.
Well, the cutscenes would be.
Yeah, and I think the combat I would enjoy better.
I hope that we're throwing this into the universe and it somehow happens.
It's like, please, take this.
Because it was a very popular Reddit or a subreddit conversation, and people had good points on both sides. Some people said, I would like to see the Dark Souls version of a Symphony of the Night remake because they wouldn't mess it up, right? Like, because they practically have already been making that.
Yeah.
Especially like Bloodborne. You think about Bloodborne, especially when you get like there's a weapon in there kind of reminiscent of the Belmonts.
Oh,
but
the whip.
But Bloodborne's very Castlevania-y.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, so that kind of, I have to agree with you on your answer because I want to see this high caliber cinematic version of Castlevania.
It's especially after that the Netflix anime that came out,
right,
which was so good.
I liked it, and
having that level of storytelling, brought back into the Castlevania universe because Castlevania had pretty much was just you got to figure it out,
right?
But having a more like story driven version would be interesting.
It would be cool too to have a company like San Diego, who
you mean Santa Monica?
Santa Monica. I keep saying San Diego.
Yeah. It's okay.
Santa.
We're not getting paid by him.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, Santa Claus.
Yeah, Santa Claus Diego.
Right.
You look at God of War, then God of War Ragnarok, and what they've done with those. They're not going to take the Castlevania IP, which, in my opinion, is more renowned. Maybe, perhaps. It's older. It's but also Konami's kind of abandoned it because they were like, we're just going to make slot machines now or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, I think like whoever you hand that to, those are the only two companies I would hand those to. Like, I wouldn't hand them to Bethesda.
I want to give anything to Bethesda these
Not
days.
anymore, which is weird to say these days. Because back in the day, I'd been like, they can take anything and make it amazing. It shows you how fast things change.
Yep.
Just like our game of the week. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. That's a shout out to New Game Plus. But we do need to get to our game this week. So our game this week's a doozy. This game we both actually completed. So this is the first time in the show that Senior Miller and I have completed the game, and we're going to review it. So this week's game is Bad Mojo on the PC. And it's going like it did earlier.
Bad Mojo.
Fucking down. Yeah.
Baby, no.
I'm leaving that in. I'm not even putting in the soundbite that's supposed to be there. I'm just putting the random crazy nonsense that just took place. He just went hard. Okay. So Bad Mojo is an adventure game published by Pulse. No, that's not true. Published by Activision. That's not true either. All right. Bad Mojo is an adventure game by Pulse Entertainment, released in 1996. The player cast as Roger Sams, an entomologist. Is it Into? Right?
Entomologist. Yes.
Entomologist. Okay.
Bug scientist.
Bug scientist who specializes in things that have thoraxes.
Yeah.
I'm no rocket surgeon, so I don't know. Planning to embezzle money from a research grant to escape his sordid life above an abandoned bar. An accident with his mother's enchanted locket unleashes the Bad Mojo, turning him into a cockroach. The story in Bad Mojo is loosely based on Franz Kafka's 1915 novella, The Metamorphosis. The gameplay consists of guiding the cockroach through a series of puzzles. Woo! Okay, and then they released this a Redux version in 2004, which is the version we both played from GOG. And it contained, it really wasn't much different than the original I read. It was just like updated to work better on current systems.
Yeah.
The resolution was better, and it had some extras that you could look at, which I thought were cool. You could download the manual.
Oh, okay.
That was cool. Like you hit the extras part, and it had like making ofs and all kind. It's really cool. I didn't realize.
I didn't play around with the extras.
Yeah, on the GOG platform, I didn't know it did this until I bought this game on there. But the tab, there's an extras tab,
which is actually a really cool platform.
It is, and the game was really cheap. I got it for $1.89.
Same.
So yes, but they had like a part you could download the actual original scanned manual. So I did that and looked through it, and it's just as crazy as the game is. So let's get into it. First impressions. You can start with this. Senior Miller, what's your first impressions of Bad Mojo?
Well, I'm going back to when we first announced the game and
last week,
and we were just looking at it. It was like, what the hell is this?
I didn't know it existed.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
And just trying to track it down as like, it was on platforms, but seeing as this is coming out around Thanksgiving weekend,
right?
I was traveling and I don't have a PC platform
to
travel with. So I had problems with it, and I was worried that we weren't going to be able to do this.
Well, you were worried because you were using something that was non-Windows, and you weren't able to play the game on your vacation, which I didn't want you to do anyways, to be honest. But luckily, the game doesn't have a long duration.
No.
So you were able to come back from your vacation and download it and play through it.
And grind it out, yeah.
You did it fast.
When I first booted it up, though, I was just like, it was definitely, I had a lot of chuckles because the full motion video is old. Like if anybody's played like Command and Conquer,
right,
or anything like that, it has
very mid 90s,
but it's almost like a full movie because it's they did animate almost all of it until like they get to those specific moments with the actors.
I know.
And
Well,
then
it was a very popular thing that happened around the mid 90s. It was this transition from like 32-bit graphics into this like CD based medium. And so the like Sega CD was kind of the 3DO and Sega CD were and some other obscure consoles were some of the first consoles to start incorporating like full motion video into games. And this game 1996 was like smack dab right when it was starting to pick up, and you saw the like the changing of the guard, where like, but you saw a lot of like failures there too, because like the PS1 just came out, and it was also capable of this. And I'll speak about this later, how this would have been a perfect PS1 game.
Oh, yeah.
But the full motion video was like the new big thing, so it's hard to compare it these days, like the age we live in now, with like we haven't really had a lot of technical or technological advances in video games that are as prominent as like now. There's video from 16-bit graphics and then like pixel art, even though it's grainy, but it didn't look grainy in 1986. It looked like you're like, whoa, can't get any better than this, like this is the future. And are like hearing voices in games or like CD quality things. Bad Mojo did a good job during that transition, because I don't know if you ever played a game on Sega CD called Sewer Shark.
Nope.
That's a bad example of, I know I'll probably take some flack for this, but I feel like that game, I feel like anybody's played that game, to be honest. I was one of the few people that had a Sega CD, but it came with Sewer Shark, and it was a full motion video game, but it wasn't as in depth as like what Bad Mojo did with their full motion video. They used their full motion video not just in the game to like progress the story, but also to like they incorporated it into the gameplay in certain parts where it's like mixing with the pre-rendered backgrounds and the animation of your movement, and it's also in there. It was kind of revolutionary.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's other examples around the time that I was unaware of it.
First booting it up and just getting the controls down, it's finicky.
Oh, it's bad.
That was my first being like, oh God, like,
well, it's tank. Yeah, are you familiar with tank controls?
Yeah.
And you're a cockroach.
Yeah,
so
and
you start as a cockroach, and you're this cockroach in a sewer, and there's nothing to tell you what to do. You're just like, go forth.
It's just like, all right,
out of the sewer.
Here we go.
You were a dude. Now you're a cockroach. Can we really speak about the intro movie though? Because it's so over the top.
It was so campy.
It's so campy,
but like, it was endearing too. It's good. Where I was just like, oh, the acting is so bad, but at the same time, it was really good for the era.
Well, the main actor in it, his name is Michael Summers. I mean, questionably the main actor. It might actually be the landlord. Might be the main actor, because he's more. I think he's more shown in human form.
He's more important to the story too.
Who was Mike Gilliam was the actor who played the landlord, and the conniving roach guy was Michael Summers, who actually went on to have a prominent acting career.
He looked familiar. But...
He was in like the 8. There's some show, I can't think of the name of it, but something like the 8 Senses 8 or something. He went on like, and he still is this. Pretty much my representation of him, or my first opinions of him, is he's a poor man's Jim Carrey.
That's exactly what he looked like. That 100%
over the top.
When I first saw him, I was just like, wait, did they get Jim Carrey for this?
It seemed totally like it had to have been inspired by Jim Carrey. And it's like Dumb and Dumber Jim Carrey, you know, specifically with the little Ace Ventura in there.
Yeah.
But also the man who plays the landlord's also over the top. He's like, you ain't running out on me, are ya?
Yeah.
He's like smoking a cigar and like grabbing him by the collar and pulling him in and wide-eyed. And I'm like, this is so awesome. Like I didn't think it was. I thought it was stupid, but in a good way. Like when you watch a good B movie,
no, it was that quality.
It was that quality. You know, it's like Sharknado quality of like it's bad, but I think it's self-aware.
You got some people who were gonna give it their all and are not gonna go anywhere in Hollywood, but they're gonna give you the performance of their damn life. Well, I'm just saying, it's like they're gonna give you the performance of their damn lives, and
they didn't half-ass it.
Yeah.
They didn't skimp on it.
I mean, the way that he loved up on that
the suitcase?
Suitcase of money. Yeah.
I was telling my girlfriend about that, and I reacted it to her, and she goes, please never do that again. And then I go, let me show you the scene. So I bring up the scene on YouTube and show her. She goes, you nailed that, but please never do that again. And I'm like, cool. Yeah. So the beginning, the intro scene just I don't know. You just know what you're in for, right? So if we're gonna sum up the beginning of the game, you're a skeezy scientist who studies roaches, who finally gets a grant to like do something with roaches.
Well, it's funny because I thought he stole that money at first.
I did too, but
I thought it was like a bank heist or something.
Which I think kind of adds to the storytelling of the game, because I thought that too, and then the game explains to you where it actually comes from. Precisely.
It's not until like the 4th chapter.
But it explains it precisely. Yeah, you're like, I thought that was good of the game. It wasn't just like throwing darts randomly. Because at first I was like, what is this? This is stupid. Like my first thought was, this is silly, but I'm going to play it because it's so silly that it's like, it's well done silliness.
Yeah.
You know, the game is, the producers, the actors are aware of what they're doing, right?
Well, even, I mean, so what actually drew me in to even give it a chance after that first cutscene was the animations and the environment.
Right.
Because it is actually a very pretty game.
I agree. And I actually have some notes about that. I'll touch on that later, but you can definitely go into that. The last thing I want to say about our first impressions though, is that I do want to stress that the game is very stylish.
It is.
It's very stylish and its visuals, its aesthetics, and its music. And I give it props in those regards, that it definitely is its own thing.
Some of those songs are bangers though.
They are. and they did actually go out of the way to get a specific sound engineer for it, who is an American electro industrial artist named Exorcist.
Oh, I'm glad you looked into that, because I was wondering who did.
But it starts with an X, so it's XOR-sist.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the person who composed all the soundtrack. I don't know what it is about the games we've been lately playing, but a lot of Nine Inch Nails. We keep falling, other than Rampart, but Rampart, I couldn't imagine Rampart with like a industrial techno.
I could. It'd be weird, but
it'd be weird. It'd be progressive.
I mean, honestly, if you change the aesthetic to more like Aliens,
or you just make it like post-apocalyptic,
yeah,
it fits.
It would fit. Yeah,
but that shows how good Rampart is. Anyways, because you can just change the mechanics are so well built that you can put any theme on. You put football.
Yep,
it's like throwing footballs to. Well, we already talked about Rampart. That was last week. It got our first seal of approval. So yes, Bad Mojo. So I think we've pretty much. Oh, one more thing I want to add about my first impression is that the game's pretty confusing at first.
It is very confusing,
and I was turned off immediately by the controls. Yeah, because the controls are 5 buttons. And you choose if it's going to be the number symbols. Symbols. I'm sorry.
It's the numpad. It's
it's not the numpad actually. It's I did the same. I just made the same mistake. The arrow keys.
The arrow keys, yeah.
Or you can choose WASD or something else.
Or EDSF.
And I thought, weird options. But even weirder in the options is that you can turn the antenna on or off on your cockroach.
Which I mean, that must have been a weird, like,
why?
I'm thinking it was too much for modern, like the current, for the current systems to handle.
The antennas or the antennae
like
coming
the
off
extra weird movement or something.
I don't understand why that was an option.
They have physics. Like if you
the game, I don't know, it renders so much and so much going on visually.
I don't know.
I think I see what you're saying though. Perhaps at its time period, there may have been lower spec systems,
right?
That was like sent it over the edge.
Like, you're playing on your Commodore 64 and you can still blow this on for some reason.
But if you turn off the antenna, you get 15 frames per second, smooth. So that's my summary of first impressions. So let's talk about gameplay. How do you feel about the gameplay?
So once you get past the initial control debacle and the first section, I think the gameplay it's pretty straightforward.
It is, but at first it's pretty you're very confused and you feel like you're just thrown into the fire and you're like, and it's weird.
You got to save a lot.
I do save. I'm happy this game lets you save anywhere you want.
And that was something I had to get myself back into because I'm so used to a modern new area. Here's an automatic save state.
It's actually very, very forgiving because not only does it allow you to save whenever you want, but also gives you like 3 lives.
Yeah, and
it doesn't even like start you from the beginning. It just starts you in like the weird hub world, which is the sewer and has different tunnels
right
that lead to different parts
which
of the game.
is actually very interesting coming into the end of the game, but we'll get to that.
Oh yeah.
Because the fact that you do have those extra lives
Yeah.
Does help.
Yes.
It's
a lot of trial and error.
I actually want to ask you, what was your first biggest difficulty?
My first biggest difficulty?
Like your first big obstacle in this game?
Oh, man. There were a couple. There's one major one I'll get to later that was actually a big negative check mark for me in this game. But my first big obstacle, because I'm thinking about me playing through it now, and it was definitely like after the vacuum cleaner.
Oh, okay. Mine is before the vacuum cleaner.
Like the vacuum cleaner, you go up on the table.
Yeah.
And I kept falling in the paint. And I'm like, what is going on here? And I guess there's like exposed wires. By the way, we need to really emphasize that you play as a cockroach.
You are a cockroach.
And it really nails the cockroach. You're a cockroach.
You have to get into cockroach mentality. What would a cockroach do?
And where you can go and how you can go over certain areas and how you can't go into certain areas and what restricts you and what doesn't. It feels right. You're like, yes, I totally am a cockroach right now. But probably the Roach Motel.
Okay, that's a good puzzle. It was the damn spider for me
With the cigarette.
Yeah,
I you know what's funny is I accidentally breezed through that. So like there's the first enemy you really come across.
It's really the first big puzzle.
Yeah, there's a spider and you have to like get past it and it just wants to attack you.
My problem was I knew what I needed to do and I couldn't get the controls to do it right because every time I would touch the cigarette, it would go the wrong way.
Yeah.
And I was like, and as soon as you turn your backside to
it gets you,
it'll jump on you.
Yeah.
And it's just like you mother.
I accidentally got past that because I wasn't even paying attention to the spider. I thought it was part of the background scenery. Because one thing this game does is it doesn't tell you. This is a good thing though. This isn't bad.
It does with audio cues.
It does with audio cues. And also does with some certain like minor animations. Because the way this game is played is like scene to scene is pre-rendered. And it's beautiful. You know, it kind of, I don't know why it reminded me of the original Resident Evil.
It has that
me
same
those vibes.
It has that same grotesque, like they really wanted to emphasize the gross part.
But it's the pre-rendered backgrounds. Like the original PS like Resident Evil 1 had the same like color palette, you know, like the grays and the browns and the pre-rendered backgrounds you're running around and your different sizes. Sometimes like you'll go into one room in Resident Evil and you'll be tiny, but you'll understand the perspective and the scale. This game gave me a lot of those vibes and it came out around the same time, which is crazy. Actually, I think this game may have predated Resident Evil 1.
See, and I mean, that's also just singing to, you know, it's the PC
was always a step ahead.
Always a step ahead.
Yeah.
And they were doing weird stuff.
Especially mid-90s, dude. That was the golden era of crazy progressive experimental PC games.
Yeah.
Because I decided to buy this game with another game, and this because it was Black Friday and they had a sale, it was also $1. I don't know nothing about this other game. It's called Harvester. Came out at the same time.
I didn't even see that one.
I haven't played it yet, but I might because I was like, okay, well, they're like, this game's similar too. And I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
$1. And then I looked at it and I looked at the screenshots. I'm like, what? Dude, it's just as crazy.
What is going on?
Just as crazy. Maybe that'll be like a bonus episode, but maybe you should pick up Harvester.
Okay.
And I haven't even installed it, but I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, this is Bad Mojo-ish. Like Bad Mojo is becoming kind of its own genre to me. Like, and it kind of represents, I'm jumping the gun here, but it kind of represents that weird era in the mid 90s when PC games really started getting out there.
Yeah.
And they started incorporating full motion video. And you had like, at the same time, Sega CD had things going on like Night Trap and all these other controversies. Actually, that was like 93, but anyways.
I mean, trying to get back into the actual gameplay of it. It's once you get the controls, and thankfully that was like the last time that you needed to be super precise.
Was a spider?
Was a spider.
I would argue against that, but Only because I guess you're right though, in a sense of like there's not except for the end.
Well, that's a race against time,
Right.
well,
That's why though. But like
but
it's the only way I can compare it to.
but it's because there wasn't nowhere else in the game is there a quote unquote enemy
Right.
that you can't just defeat by solving a puzzle. And
Yeah,
this one is you actually had to get your timing right on it. And if you move it the wrong way once, you might as well just reload. That was
I accidentally beat that spider. Like I went past it and I hit the cigarette butt with the back of my cockroach butt and it lunged at me and hit the front of the cigarette and died. And I'm like,
that's so funny.
I thought it was just a part of like, it just happens automatically. I didn't realize it.
And I tried to just juke it where I was just like, I'm just going to run by him then. And every time it's just like, it's a pre-rendered event.
Yeah.
Unless that thing is pointing directly at him when he jumps, it doesn't matter.
That was me with the cat, by the way, later on.
And I never had a problem with the cat.
I died a lot to the cat. So, but the game continues on and it's a very interesting, it is a puzzle game.
It does give you a lot of hint. Like the basis of the game is exploration.
Yes.
Like just run around. You are a cockroach. Be a cockroach. Just run around.
I got some Myst vibes a little bit, but I also got Resident Evil vibes. Those are two drastically different games.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because both of those had horrendous loading times.
Right.
And this game does not have that.
Well, the Redux version that we is, I think, improved upon that is why.
Okay. So that
was a part of them re-releasing it in 2004, the version that we had.
Because it was smooth. Like
it was great.
You go frame to frame and it's just like, let's go. Like,
right. Now, also, I also envisioned how this would have appeared on the PS1. It would have had those load times.
Yeah.
But I have to keep coming back to this and say that it would have been a perfect PS1 game.
Yeah.
It would have gone down as one of, not the greatest, but it would have been up there with the cult classics.
No, people would have talked about it.
They would have talked about it. It almost seemed built perfectly for the PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised it never got there. I did look a little bit into its development. I see kind of why. But that's for later on in the episode.
But yeah, puzzles were good.
They were. Some weren't. Some were very obtuse, like cryptic.
Which one are you thinking of?
I'm just gonna say it now. The fuse box almost ruined the whole game for me.
Okay, so it's funny.
That's the most frustrated I got at this game.
I almost thought the same thing. If you go one screen to the left, it actually tells you the capacity of the boxes.
No, I got that, but you can bypass that whole section and continue with the entire story. Which what's happened to me is that it doesn't force you to do that part until the end. And I got to the end and I could not figure out why I could not continue. And that's when I actually had to go into a walkthrough or look up videos. And even then I could not. There's not a lot of videos on this. There's like video walkthroughs. There's like a game fact and a handful of walkthroughs, like text-based ones, but nothing was telling me why I couldn't get through this one part at the end where there's a fan blowing. And every time I go up to the vent, it blew my cockroach guy. I
had never even experienced that fan.
Because when I first played the game, I never went that direction and even experienced the fuse box. Oh. So it lets you do that, which means I'm at the end of the game. I've gone through hell and high water as this cockroach.
That's funny that we both got the good ending too.
Yes. Well, because that's dictated by the ending or by what you do at the very end. And if you guys want to play this game, and I do recommend that, like, if you really want to experience this game, we're going to spoil some of it. So jump to the end of this episode. I say like last 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
If you
really want to try this weird game and want to see like its whole story.
This is going to be a spoil. I mean, this game, all of our games are.
We have to talk about it.
Yeah, this is going to be a spoiler show.
But if you're interested in the game thus far, jump to the last 10 minutes of this episode to where we're telling you if we like it or hate it, and then we're picking a new game. So, because this is the only, so far in our show, this is the only time I'm like, I kind of don't want to ruin.
I mean, if you want to be a cockroach, then go get this game and be a cockroach.
The only game. It has to be, right?
If you want, because that is also coming back. That's the main crux of this game. It's actually the story.
Yes.
I found myself wanting to dig in and find those cutscenes, like any
Yeah.
little thing that triggers a cutscene.
The cutscenes can be triggered either change the whole screen or just a portion of the screen and show you something that's happening. Like there will be old photos that all of a sudden just start animating and give you explain to you certain plot points of the story. I found it to be really well done.
Yeah.
And really engaging, and it fit perfectly with the brand of the game, which is it's grimy. You're a cockroach. It's out there. This game is so weird, dude. And it's weird and well made. It reminded me of like David Lynch things. You know, like,
yeah.
But it's also campy and kind of dark humor. So it's not exactly David Lynch because
it's a weird, I mean, it would be like what's the studio that made like Toxic Avenger? Like it's
Trauma?
Trauma. It's a trauma film of games.
It is, but it would be a dark. Well, I guess you're right though. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're into trauma stuff, you'll probably dig this.
It's a trauma game, definitely.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to give the game credit, man. Like the visuals held up.
Especially that kitchen
The
scene.
kitchen. I was about to bring that up.
The kitchen is so good.
The kitchen level it's visceral. It's disgusting. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
The sound and the visuals look really gross you out, but also encapsulate you. That was my favorite part of the game, actually.
I love the kitchen.
The kitchen level, and then like the catfish, and like I was like, I thought something else. Oh, okay, it doesn't matter at this point. I thought something else was going to come of the catfish, but
there are options.
It's made me sad.
I mean. It's funny because the way I went through it, I was like, I'm not going to try and hunt down how to cut your head off.
I know. I didn't know. So if we're wondering what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about a scene where you come across a catfish laying on the counter next to a decapitated catfish, and it's still alive and it's barely breathing, and it has this terrible breathing noise. Yeah. And then there's actually a scene where it like communicates with you a little bit through like
that's
cut scene.
That's another thing is like the cut scenes where you like go into the mind of a bug or something.
Yeah, everything. Anything you come across as another animal, or I'm just saying animal, like another creature. Well, I guess a catfish is an animal, but when you come across like termites, or you come across spiders, or you come across silverfish or other cockroaches.
Yeah.
And it does this cut scene where it starts doing this weird like cryptic poetry of telling you how to progress further.
It's usually a clue to the puzzle, yeah.
And the game didn't actually hold your hand too much. And it was difficult sometimes. Like sometimes you had to figure it out. And it gave you all the tools. And I know it's really early. Some of the tools were watching where other cockroaches went.
Yeah.
Like I picked up on that really quickly. I was like,
the cockroaches will tell you where to go.
They're telling you where to go.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is. This game's a trip, dude. This game's a trip.
It is.
Like I see why it's a cult favorite, but there's some problems. It has extremely unique level design, and the perspective, how it'll shift, and you never really lose direction. Sometimes I did though. Sometimes I was a little confused and thrown off, where I'm like, well, what the hell is this?
Yeah, sometimes I'd be like, where am I?
But then I'd go a screen up or down, and then it would make sense. But a lot of it is scale perception. You'll see the same screen you were just on, but from a completely different angle.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's awesome. Its puzzles, I think, really range from like simple to like impossible. Personally, some of the puzzles.
Which one did you think was really, really hard?
I keep going back to the freaking fuse box because you can skip it. It wasn't really fair that I did. And then like there is a part that triggers that tells you about the fuse box, but I also bypassed that because I didn't realize that there's little symbols throughout the game that you walk over and it gives you clues.
Yeah, they look like fire. And
I couldn't see that symbol.
Yeah.
I walked past it and it allows me to go through the literal rest of the game, but won't let me complete it because I missed something. And at that point, I was furious. You know, like I was like, I have no idea what I missed. I've done so good so far. And I've solved puzzles and felt fulfillment. And this doesn't make sense. I keep going up to this fan. It keeps blowing me back down to the table. And then I finally cracked and looked it up. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. That is not cool. Like if the whole game's going to guide you otherwise in a linear, non-linear way, at least don't make something that you can't complete the game happen in the first area where you have to backtrack immensely to get back to, and then have to be like, and you go so far back that your brain's already scrambled from all the puzzles you've already done that are really different and are, that have variety. And I applaud the game for that. But go all the way back here and be like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And then you just kind of whatever. And then it happens. And I have to go all the way back to the end. It broke my, what's the word?
Like your flow or your,
it broke the,
immersion.
No, but you're thinking the same way. I thought immersion too. It broke my, momentum.
Oh, okay.
It broke my momentum and it made me upset because I was on a good flow. And not to say that wasn't one of the few parts that I had to look up, because some areas I was like, I don't know what's going on in this scene. Like, this is crazy. Well, I felt like was a little unnecessary.
The first couple of times you see the mystical glowing lady, and then you're like, wait, where is this game going?
Yeah. Well, also you have to skip a lot through things because it doesn't. Once you see a cutscene, it won't. You have to keep rewatching it.
If you go back, if you trigger the same thing,
if you re-trigger it,
there is a scene where you walk over a cigar.
Yeah.
I triggered that so many times where I was just like, stop it.
But luckily you can hit escape and it actually
but it was still just like, are you kidding me? Or when you transition a level, and you're just they prompt that again,
which I thought was well done, but also weird.
Why?
Weird. A lot of things happen, and then like I feel like the last part of the game really gets weird, even though the game's weird. But it starts getting a little like psychological thriller. Like I don't understand the eyeballs pinned up on the wall.
I don't either.
I get like I see that the protagonist or the protagonist was losing his mind, but why are some of the eyeballs moving when I walk past the pictures?
I think they were just going for let's up the creep factor.
Yeah, they really went full throttle on this game being weird, but I don't feel like they jumped the shark really, other than the ending. But so. Also near the end, it presents you with like a time sensitive area that you don't know is a time sensitive area.
Right.
Because so far in the game, nothing has been time sensitive. You're given all the time in the world to figure out what you're doing.
Other than the mystical lady that comes out of the locket.
What's your mom?
Right.
Yeah.
But
spoiler alert.
Other than she does say there is a key phrase where it's like, now time matters.
Right.
And that's the only clue you get.
But she also says a bunch of crazy stuff throughout the whole game. So I'm like,
and you're like, whatever. I don't listen to anything you say now because so far
it's all been like crazy haikus that kind of make sense.
It's all cryptic story stuff.
Especially talking about like turning the gas off in the kitchen and like suffocate with the poisonous to make the breath. Like, okay, I get it.
Fire has been your biggest obstacle, but now you must suck in the poison fumes. And it's just like, what?
I know. And then like, that doesn't even really happen, but I get it. It's telling you, it's doing its best job to, I guess like corral its crazy to keep it cohesive. Came really close to flying off the rails a lot.
Yeah.
And it didn't. I give it props. It got close.
It got close.
But you never really, you do kind of get a companion at one point, a small part of the game where
when you have a buddy
kitchen,
living on your back. Yeah.
That was also another hurdle I had because I kept stepping on the fork because there's a scene where you have to push the fork or move it to where it drops the spoon into the garbage disposal so you can go through. And I'm like, what is going on here?
There is that goes back to the catfish.
Right.
There is a place where you can actually like drop a knife onto his head and chop his head off.
I didn't know that.
And so there's another way to solve that puzzle.
That's an area I haven't even been to.
But yeah, I mean, there are multiple ways to solve the puzzles.
So once again, we played the game a little differently.
Well, I didn't even do that. I
didn't know you could do that. I didn't know that you actually could like end the catfish's life
because I looked it up because I was just like, can you kill the catfish? And I was like, yeah, if you climb all the way up, there's like a whole nother shelf.
You can go up.
There's another shelf up there. Yeah.
That level's so cool though. The kitchen is really to me like the crescendo of the game.
If I was to give a demo of the game,
Yeah,
that's the level I would give.
absolutely. But it's grotesque.
Where it's like but that cues you up to what you're in for.
Yes, because the beginning doesn't do that well, but it does it enough.
Yeah,
It's not like Blood Rain.
Where it's just like, I hate this.
Yeah, like here's the worst representation of this game. It eases you a little bit. In Bad Mojo, it does ease you a little bit into what's gonna happen and what you're supposed to be doing, what you're supposed to pay attention to.
You are gonna be very grumpy if you don't save a lot, though.
Yes, I was pissed off sometimes.
Yeah,
because also it doesn't warn you that some pipes are piping hot in you. No pun intended.
I mean,
you touch them, you die. You're like, oh great, I just went through all these levels, like because you have to really traverse a lot of different screens. And sometimes it's annoying and takes time, even though if you figured it out, that wow factor's gone. You're like, oh, great. I just went over here and I got eaten by a cat that I didn't realize was off screen and just grabbed me. I'm not supposed to be on this part of the screen. Now I got to go through 13 screens again. So, yeah, save a lot if you're going to play this game. I want to talk about something specifically, and this is going to be definitely possibly subjective. The game is kind of a time capsule of 1990s.
No, it is. I agree. It is one of those. This is kind of what we had. Like this,
what everything looked like.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were expecting.
It kind of blew my mind. I haven't played a lot of games that reminded me of the aesthetics of what 1996 was, and by this I mean specifically the TV dinner you crawl across. I remember TV dinners looking like that, and it unlocked these crazy nostalgic memories of eating old mid-90s TV dinners because that's how they looked. And I know that everything in the game that they did, they took pictures of and digitized.
Right.
So like the fonts and the like the way things were printed and the way bills looked and the way telephones looked and all that, those were all actually how things looked, and it like totally nostalgia bombed me, and I was not expecting that.
No, it very much, especially if you've never seen a old fax / telephone answering machine type thing. I honestly think some people would look at this and be like, what the hell is this?
Or the sounds? Well, that's why I say it's subjective. So I don't think it's fair for me to include that positively in my review of it, because for the most part, I assume people would be discovering this and without being, living through the 90s at the age we were.
Yeah.
So that's why I had to, kind of dance around saying like, oh, it's amazing that they captured the 90s so well, but that wasn't even their point. They just made the game in the 90s.
It was made for the time. Yeah.
It's just like how Seinfeld was made in the 90s, and it's very 90s ish with like the style and how everything was. This game did that on accident for me. I was like, oh, that TV dinner. I was like, whoa, dude, I remember those. Like the design going around the TV dinner, like the pattern was like how it used to look, and like the quality of the food looked worse or better or whatever. It looked like 1990s TV dinners. They definitely were bigger. But I thought that was cool. That definitely, that scene or that level, I should say, where you're in the basement in the landlord's room. There's a lot of nostalgia there, especially like the coins and like just the way things were designed. That, and at the end with the main protagonist, I'm sorry, the protagonist, his desk and like the way like bills looked and all that, it was like totally taking me back.
Yeah.
In a way that I didn't expect. But then there's scenes that are absolutely grotesque. A lot of like dead rats.
Oh yeah.
Violent, gory.
You literally like, and things that will kill you, where you're just drowning in a pool of blood from the rat you just killed by, spoilers, dropping a bunch of razors on their head.
Yeah, no, it fell on his neck and they're twitching.
Yeah.
but also in the early part of the game, you come across a dead rat in a mousetrap. And
the one that eats you?
You go near its mouth.
Yeah.
It twitches and eats you, even though it's halfway dead. Yeah, that actually made me jump.
The tail flicking you.
Yeah.
Made me jump every goddamn time. I even knew it was. I'm like, all right, I gotta trigger this, and then I'm just like, I hated it.
Or when you come across like things that don't really even matter to the game, but just build the atmosphere. Like, did you get to the point with the stack of newspapers where it showed you that there are baby rats inside of there, and they're like waiting for their mom?
No.
Yeah, so like it triggers. It's like you're going past this one part where you're going on the left side of the stack of newspapers.
So
and then it stops and it shows you the inside, and it's a bunch of baby rats that are all like crying for their mom, and you just passed. That's the one you killed.
That's the one that you killed. Oh God!
And I was like, whoa. Well, too bad I'm a cockroach. Like it tried to eat me and it had glowing red eyes and it was evil.
That's wild.
Yeah, so much stuff it's got depth. I also want to be honest with you, man. When I went into this this review, I'm on the fence. Like I did not go into this, you coming here, us recording this episode, knowing if I was going to recommend it or not. And so I'm still on the fence because we'll get to that. I think we should get to that.
Yeah, is it that time?
I think it's that time. Get to our verdict. So, all right, Ryan, I'm still on the fence. I'll be honest. Like, I like the game. I'm gonna let you talk first. I'm not gonna. You go first.
If you can get it on sale,
well, it's $5.99.
Well,
full price. We got it for $1.90. Like,
if you can get it for $1.90,
okay,
I play it.
But is it a hidden gem? Do you recommend it?
Okay, are we gonna?
This is where my argument is. This is what our show is, man.
I know
So I'm having the same problem you are.
I would say it's not a gem. It's a gold coin. I'll give it a gold coin.
So you're saying it's not garbage?
It's not garbage. It was
though you spend most of the time in garbage. In the game.
if you know how video games work,
right,
and you can get through the jank, because there is some janky stuff.
It's not that bad though. I feel like Blood Rain had more jank.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
And it's way shorter and it gets a point across.
That's true.
Quicker than
I beat it in 4.5 hours. You beat it in what, like 2.5?
2:45.
And I said I saw the average was anywhere from 3 to 7.
Yeah.
7 being like the absolute, like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I was speed running it because I was just like, I gotta get to the end of this.
Yeah. Well, at least it was a good game for that.
Yeah.
Because it stayed fresh.
And so, there's probably a lot of like story stuff that I missed because I wasn't over here just being like, I gotta see every cutscene. I gotta find all it was purely because I'm coming off of vacation. Just like, I gotta beat this game.
Well, there you go. No better way to get your game reviews. Versus coming off vacation, just trying to speed run a game they ever played. No, but that's okay though. Like I said, it's a perfect game for that.
Yeah.
Like it's a short game, and I told you this. Like you were telling me like, hey man, I don't know if I can be. All this stuff's happening. I'm like, it's fine. Don't worry. But I'm just gonna let you know I beat it in 4.5 hours.
That was. I literally had a timer on my desk, being like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, like I was like, if that means anything, I'm not trying to rush you or anything, but like it's not a long game. So your verdict on Bad Mojo on the PC is, I mean, how would you? We gotta have. Okay, how about this? Let's establish this now. Let's say there's 4 tiers of ranking a game. There's a trash can.
Okay.
There's a thumbs down. There's a thumbs up, and then there's a diamond, like a gem. Where does this fall?
I would give it at least a thumbs up, but it comes with a caveat.
Right.
Like if you can get in, it's a cheap game already. It's dated. I would say this is because also
it's kind of niche.
You're gonna blow through it too, and it's niche. So if you can get it on sale,
but it's an adventure game. What is it?
It's
a puzzle game.
It's a puzzle adventure game. It's a puzzle exploration game.
Okay.
I wouldn't even give it adventure because
it's definitely adventure. Are you kidding me? You go from like
you're a cockroach.
I know, but but a cockroach in my kitchen right now. This is like Super Mario World to them.
Yeah.
Right. Like 1 second they're on top of the fridge.
It's a puzzle adventure game.
I don't know what it is,
but I would not pay full price for it. I would not pay $5 for it. I would pay $1.99 for it.
Okay. So this is what is this to you then?
This is a discount bin.
Okay. So it's a discount bargain bin thumbs up.
This is it's not trash. This is a Goodwill treasure.
Okay. I can't hate on that. I have a lot of Goodwill treasures in this room. Yeah. I mean, a painting.
But I mean,
okay. Well, I kind of feel you there a little bit. I had a hard time because there were points in this game where I felt like it was a hidden gem. And I was like, this game is remarkably unique. It's unique. It's a passion project. It's nothing else is like it. I'm not sure if we've said that before, even though we're on episode 3, but it's it. I don't recommend it.
You know what?
I don't recommend it.
You know what? It's actually I will rewind.
Okay.
It is worth finding a let's play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Watch somebody play it and get the story and appreciate.
Or I would take that further and say, watch a let's play of the first level and then play it.
Right. If it's up your alley.
Because once you get the mechanics, it starts getting really fun in the middle part because you start figuring out how the mechanics work and what you know what you're looking for.
Like I said, the most fun I had in the game was the kitchen level.
Bathroom kitchen for me.
Because I knew what I was doing, and now like the puzzles are flowing, and you get in that flow state.
I think we agree here, but I think I'm a little bit lower than you on this game because as much as I appreciate it, and I think that it's really unique and it's crazy and it's should exist. And it's not a garbage game. It's the David Lynch of PC games.
Yeah.
It's like, it definitely has its high renown with a certain type of community. And I see that and I understand that. It's not a game I can recommend to everybody.
And I would take it further that the fact that you told me that it was on sale on GOG.
Yeah. Black Friday sale.
That made me not hate it as much.
Yeah. It was $1.89. It was well worth that.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is I would have probably been put out if I paid even $5 for it.
Right. That makes sense.
Right. Where it's like, discount bin.
$1 an hour though, at that point. Well, like not in your case.
That's about right.
All right. But so I guess at this point we will our verdict on Bad Mojo on the PC. Unfortunately, I feel bad about this because I like the game. I don't hate the game.
It's a shiny turd.
It's a shiny turd, but it's also a cockroach game. So that's kind of, that makes sense.
I would say if it piques your interest, give it a shot.
I feel like it's one of those games that people will play and some people will be like, this game is awful. And other people will be like, this is a masterpiece. It's one of those games where, and I'm in the middle, man. I don't think it's bad. There's no part of me that thinks it's terrible, but it's definitely,
I can't recommend it for everyone.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different. I think it's better than Blood Rain. So that's my opinion. I have a couple fun facts about this game. Some elements in this game required specialists. A professional cat wrangler was trained to hire and move the cat on the set, and insurance was required for the cat.
Oh my God. That's funny.
They used German cockroaches that were trained and provided by the Carolina Biological Supply Company. Controlling the roaches required a freezer to slow down their activity.
Oh, so they could actually get the
everything
right?
were actual real animals in there.
That's.
And here's another awful fact about that: the rat was caught and killed for the game.
Oh,
but it was by an exterminator.
That doesn't make.
I don't know.
I do know in the credits, there is an actual entomologist.
Yeah.
Credited for all the roach stuff.
Also, the catfish were real and they were bought from a fishmonger in Chinatown. So everything you see in it is like actual death, which is all right. Well, okay. Cockroaches, rats, and fish. So however you feel about that, I respect your views. Whether you don't care or you do.
Yep. This is not a vegan's game.
Yeah. During the production, only a few animals were harmed, but the tarantula.
Only a few.
Only a few. Sounds like all.
Yeah.
It says including a tarantula, and I'm like, what's a tarantula in the game?
I
just didn't make it to the cut.
Was it the thing in the because there's that heating pad with
and it knocks it off?
And it knocks it off. Maybe that was a tarantula in there.
Well, that was its shining time to be an actor, and it just died in that stupid scene.
Yeah.
I know it sounds crazy what we're talking about, but if you play the game near the end, you'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Tarantula gets knocked out of his terranium or whatever.
Yep.
And okay.
By that damn cat.
Yeah. So there's some fun facts. There it is. Bad Mojo gets a yeah, like
yeah. We're gonna have to nail down our ranking system a little bit.
It's worth $2 or less.
Yes.
But it sounds bad. But I don't mean it sound bad. I'd rather you play Bad Mojo than ever play Blood Rain. So, and I know Senor Miller doesn't
you can use my dead name.
it doesn't it doesn't. Yeah, I know he doesn't agree with that, but that's the show. All right, we got to pick a new game. I sent you a list of the consoles.
I saw them.
So it's your week, Mr. Miller. You get to pick the console, and then the Wheel of Retro will pick our game.
Let's do a PlayStation 1 game.
PlayStation 1?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so the game chosen by the gods of retro and the Wheel of Retro is a game on the PlayStation 1 and also DOS. Developed by Take-Two Interactive.
Okay.
Published by Acclaim.
Okay.
Almost all the games have been published by Acclaim.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It was released October 31st, 1996. And the game is called Iron and Blood, Warriors of Ravenloft.
No way.
What is this? Oh, sorry. It's a dark 3D fighting game.
No way.
What do you mean no way?
It's a D&D game.
Is it? How do you know?
Well, if it is the Ravenloft I'm thinking of, because Ravenloft is a setting in
Let's see. Yes. Iron and Blood is based off the Ravenloft's campaign settings for the Dungeons and Dragons fantasy role-playing game.
No way.
It's a Dungeons and Dragons fighting game.
That's so funny.
Good luck, buddy, finding that one. But it will be easy. We'll just emulate it. But won't leave it in there. I'm gonna tell you, this game looks like garbage, but I guess we'll see.
It really does.
Yeah. Maybe that'll be fun. Who knows?
Can I play a Strahd?
You might have a different opinion on this. I don't know.
I'm over here just being like, wait a second, I'm into this.
It's like Heroes and Villains, like Balthazar.
No, I'm actually running this campaign.
Bollock, the Black Knight, Torgo.
No, that's all made up names.
Okay, it's Red Cloud.
I'm over here saying that's all made up names. It's literally a fantasy game.
Oh, if you're a fan of the show, please give us a good review on, I don't know, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or we're across all the platforms. So if you're able to give a good review, please do.
Mush your fist on the screen until something goes ding.
There we go. Mush your fist upon the screen until something goes ding. That's beautiful. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/supergarbageday. 2 tiers. One includes a bonus episode every week, which we'll be making soon. We had one last week. There's a $5 Patreon, which you get to pick a game. And it doesn't matter if we played it or not. So also fall within the realm of being retro. And that goes into its own pool. And we will try, once that's established, we'll just do that once a month or twice a month. We'll just see what happens. Also, if you just have game suggestions you want us to add to our list, just email us game suggestions as well to our major list, our big list, at supergarbageday@gmail.com. And if you have your own reviews of the games that we're going to be playing, throw those on there and I will read those live. We'll see you next week for Iron and Blood, Warriors of Ravenloft.
If we can find a version of this,
I'll find one.
No, I mean, but if we can find one where we can actually play against each other, I think that's...
Oh, we can.
We might have to stream this one.
It's also in DOS, apparently, so...
Like...
Stream it?
I think streaming us kicking the crap out of each other would be worthy.
We'll see. I don't know. I don't have high hopes so far, but I don't know anything about... Oh, God, this game looks bad.
It looks real bad.
Oh, no.
Welcome to the show.
What is... Oh, we have a lot. We have plenty to go for here. I don't know, though. Sometimes I kind of like jank sometimes, and I kind of will find the beauty in things. But if this game is better than Bad Mojo, then we'll see. I guess we'll see. I don't think so. Thanks for listening to Super Garbage Day. My name is B. Ross, and this is
Senor Milan.
We will see you next week. You guys stay safe, and we love you.
Yep. Have a good night.
Bye-bye. Or day.